Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss.
Hi, Lucy. Welcome to today's podcast. How are you?
Fabulous, Mares. Mares, tell me, in our Momentum membership this month, we are doing a topic called Reflect for Success. So I think that reflection is a really good thing to do. What do you think?
Reflection is really, I think, very important thing to do for our health and wellness, important thing to do for our brains to pause and reflect, and also in weight management. Reflection actually has a vital role because it allows us to take some time to pause, to sort of see where we have been, to notice where we are now and where we want to be, and allows us some time to set our intentions, and so that we can make intentions and move forward with behaviour change intentionally. Reflection, far more than being just some la-di-da sort of thing that sounds nice, is actually a profoundly practical and important weight loss tool.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what I find often is that people will make some deviations perhaps from their plan, have times where they've, using my world famous air quotes, fall off the wagon and beat themselves up for it, rather than the idea that this is actually a time that you can reflect and work out, well, these sorts of things happen in life all the time. What can I do differently for the next time when it may occur? And we know that people deviate from their plan in times of stress and distress. So when they're overwhelmed or they're time poor, or they've just got, to use our euphemism, too much on their plate, that's when their health goals will slip down their list of priorities.
Yes, absolutely. And particularly when people get busy and stressed, that is where, we can all get lost. And, moments of reflection are kind of like consulting a map, which is a really good thing to do when you're feeling lost and overwhelmed. Take a moment and consult a map. It's so much easier to get where you want to go if you pause every now and again and see where you are in relation to where you want to be. I think self-reflection plays, a really important role in health and wellness. It plays this pivotal role in planning and in decision making.
I'm having a little snigger because you said pivotal, and aren't we all pivoting in 2020? Wasn't that the word?
Where everyone had to pivot in 2020.
An unprecedented pivot.
Yes. Well, now that we've practiced pivoting, we can keep pivoting towards our health and wellness goals.
Absolutely. So I think for a lot of our listeners, they will have made some New Year's resolutions. It's a good time, but New Year's resolutions cop a bit of flack. What are your thoughts on it, Mares?
Yes, well, I think New Year's resolutions get a bad rap because they are so often ignored. As soon as February rolls around, New Year's resolutions are often forgotten, and I think part of the problem is that people are not particularly resolute in their resolutions, is certainly part of it. But also sometimes New Year's resolutions, the ones that certainly fall over by February, they're often quite vague and unfocused and essentially undoable. So, with this podcast, we're inviting you to sort of reflect on where you are and decide where you want to go, and invite you to make some really specific and doable resolutions.
Yes, and I think traditionally people use the change of the week, the change of the month, or the change of the year to make a change. So, Monday or the start of the month or the new year to make a change. But quite frequently, their New Year's wishes or wants. I wish I could lose weight in 2021, or I want to lose weight in 2021, or I want to be healthy. They're wishing, waiting, and wanting. But we all know that you actually have to be doing. And that's where there is this disconnect, the doing bit, that people don't actually think about how we're going to do it. And I know we talked before the recording about the idea that for years I made the resolution every year I am going to meditate more. Which sounds noble. It's a good thing to be thinking about. I mean, it's, I think it's good that it's even on my radar, because for a lot of people that's not. So, yeah, yay me for having it on my radar. But not so yay because I never did it. I would do it for, 3 times and then that would be the end of it. What about you, Maz? Did you have any resolutions that just were kind of these wafty wishes?
Oh, absolutely. I think for many years I had the resolution, I will get healthy. There's nothing doable in that statement. That's pretty vague and lofty. Or even I will lose weight, but without any clear plan, without any clear, actionable steps that I could actually do, there was no way I was going to succeed in a vague and undoable resolution like I'm going to lose weight. So there's the 2 steps. You need to make something really doable, like make it an actual thing that you can do. So I'm going to lose weight. Not necessarily doable, but I am going to cut out bread and sugar and cut out Coke and spend some time each week educating myself about low carb real food. That's doable. You see, with one, you're bound to just get absolutely nowhere. But with the other one, you can actually walk through those steps and get to where you need to be.
Well, I think what you've articulated there is that one is a wish and the other one is an intention. You actually are intentionally following through. And I'm having a snigger to myself because, again, another one of my wishes for many years was to go back and learn Italian. So I learned Italian for a long time. I was really quite good at it in my 20s, and then life got in the way and I could basically say ciao and that's about it. And each year I think, I must go and brush up on my Italian. And, that'd be vaguely at the front of my mind for a couple of weeks and then nothing would happen. So this year, again, COVID, it does bring some gifts. Italian classes became online. It became much simpler. So I thought, right, so I've jumped on. I've done an online class. I've already signed up for next year's class. I'm actually doing my homework. Yay. So my intention or my wish to learn Italian or to relearn is going to be fulfilled because I have made a plan and I am doing it, not just hoping that somehow Italian magics its way back into my head.
That is a perfect example. Yeah, our lives are made up of all our choices and our actions, and you set an intention and you stuck to it. And without setting intentions, we really do risk. Well, we risk just drifting through the days, the months, and even the years without achieving our goals or living life according to our values.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when we might have an idea and we don't execute it, and it's not because we're lazy or hopeless or can't be bothered. Sometimes it's literally, it is not high enough up our priority list to give our brain the attention that we would like to give it. And I think that was probably the meditation thing for me. I didn't set that goal thinking, it's going to be hard, I'm never going to do it. I genuinely wanted to do it. But it wasn't until I became a lot more intentional about planning, how am I going to do it, when am I going to do it, what am I going to do, that it became a reality that then fits now in with my life much more regularly. Not perfectly, there's always room for improvement, but much more regularly.
Beautiful. And I like how you said not perfectly, because things don't have to be done perfectly, they just have to be done. So, Lucy, for our lovely listeners out there, we're in a new month. There are lots of people out there will have goals that they would wish and want that they could achieve. How do we turn the wishing and the wanting into resolution, intention, and action?
So I think there's a couple of things. So certainly with something like health and well-being, some people think that they should just be able to do it all themselves. That, You know, if I just tried harder, if I was more disciplined, if I had more willpower, I would be able to do it. And occasionally that is true, but for the majority of people, the reason that they don't stick to their intentions or their wishes is about their mind management. And, you know, again, these things where we talk about prioritizing. So it becomes this combination of having the will and desire and then following up with the accountability and troubleshooting when your brain decides to lead you on a different path to the one that you wanted to take. So again, going back to that Italian analogy, it's fascinating because I could probably have gone and read a book about, you know, I've got about 50 Italian textbooks sitting there. Do you think I've read any of them in the last 20 years? No. It wasn't until I decided to engage in this online learning platform with a teacher, gorgeous woman, Maria, hello, that it got the momentum, if you like, that ball moving for then to me to be re-engaged in what I wanted to do. I needed somebody else to guide me. Not that I couldn't do it myself, but I needed, I guess, that little bit of accountability. I committed, I showed up. There was a lecture or a Zoom, it was because it's on Zoom, every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. So that was it. It was in my calendar. Nothing got booked around it. I turned up whether I'd done my homework or not, whether I could remember what I was meant to be doing, and sometimes I couldn't, but it always meant I turned up. And because of that, I have progressed in my goal to be speaking Italian again. So I think sometimes people think they don't need any help with some of their goals, and sometimes you do. And there's no shame in that. There is absolutely no shame. In fact, I actually think it's a great thing to get some help in achieving your goals. But the thing that I would say is that you need clarity on what you want to achieve. You need commitment. And we talk about the 3 or 4 C's, depending on which day of the week it is. And you need some courage, because sometimes to make changes, you do have to have some courage. Now, it depends on, you know, look, Italian, and, you know, most people wouldn't describe learning Italian as being courageous, but there is some things in it, because as I'm in the Zoom, we have to speak. So you have to speak in this other language out loud in front of other people. And every now and then I can mentally hear myself in my mind going, you know, practicing the sentence, which is sort of a bit crazy, so that I don't get my tongue twisted and end up blurting out something that sounds really kind of lame. But it's out of my comfort zone. So it does take a little bit of courage. And for anything that is new to us as adults, we often need courage because we don't like doing things that we're not good at. We expect... again, Italian people will go, oh, okay, well, I don't expect to learn Italian in a week. That's fine. Okay, so there's this expectation that it'll take a bit longer, but I also don't want to talk out loud because I'm hopeless at it. I don't want to talk until I'm good at it, but you're never going to get good at it if you don't talk out loud. And the same happens in the health and weight loss sphere. People think that I should know what I'm doing, and if I can't do it straight away, well, you know, it's because it's not working. So many times our brains, and it's hilarious watching myself, watching my kids. I've got one child. If she's doing something and she's no good at it, she just goes, oh, this is rubbish. I'm not doing it. And that is often our brain's response when, as an adult, it's trying to do something and it's a little bit hard. It'll go, this is rubbish. It's not working. I'm not doing it. So, just being aware of that little trick and the fact there is this resistance from our brain to do things that it's not used to and not good at, and that it takes time, courage, and practice to do it.
So that was courage. What were the other C's?
Clarity. Clarity is what you want. So that's where you can actually articulate a goal. And the goal is not, I want to be healthy. That's a pretty vague. Your goal might be, I want to improve my metabolic hormones. So how do you know if you've done that? Well, you need to get some bloods beforehand and some bloods afterwards, and then you need to do the thing that is going to help you improve your metabolic hormones. It might be that I want to get fitter. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to work up to walking 10,000 steps 5 times a week. I'm not going to start with 10,000 steps tomorrow because that might be hard and my brain might go, no, this is rubbish. So getting clarity on what your goals are, and the step, I think, even beyond clarity is, why are you doing this? And I know people talk about finding your why, but it is really important to come back to time after time. The why is not so that, people say, oh, it's so I can feel better, but it's also, you can feel good. Feeling good is a state of mind. You can feel good whenever you want to, but it's often about the idea that you can live your life with quality of life. Medicine these days is very good at extending the quantity of life. We can extend it for years and years. We haven't really made a lot of inroads on the quality of life.
That's up to us and our healthy choices.
Absolutely. So that's a bit of the clarity. And then the commitment is a bit like my Italian lesson. I turn up no matter what. I've scheduled it. I've made time for it. Nothing gets in the way of my the kids are out there asking me a question. I'm going, I'm on my Italian class. It is, seriously, it's the one thing of the week. Well, not the one thing, but it's one of the things that is the joy of my week. It's learning, it's extending my brain, and I'm committed to turning up to that class no matter what.
Love it. So you have courage, clarity, and commitment. And there's another one we do like to throw in this one, which is so important.
Yes, it is. It is compassion. So, Mez, you're the compassion queen. Tell us about compassion.
Compassion is, I think, really, really vital to achieving our goals, to developing new habits, to breaking old unhelpful habits. Compassion is vital to change, and it might not seem like a particularly intuitive statement. You need to be kind and compassionate to yourself if you want to change. But I believe that you really do, because behaviour change, it's not going to happen straight away. There will be setbacks. We will stuff up. We will forget. It's going to take practice and time to develop new eating habits, for example, to develop a meditation habit, to develop a new, exercise or movement habit. It's going to take a little bit of time. And if you can be really compassionate to yourself in times of setbacks, when you forget, when you stuff up, when you don't do it perfectly, you're far more likely to keep going. Without compassion, we run the risk of basically two things. And I'm going to give an example. I'm going to use the example of you stuff up. You really fall off the wagon. You decided all of January, I'm not going to eat chocolate, but then your friend comes over with a box of chocolates and a sad story and you eat them all. You've just had a whole lot of chocolates. You haven't maintained the behaviour that you want. You haven't maintained your resolution. What do? Do you just berate yourself, hate yourself, throw it all in because you're hopeless and useless and can't do it? Do you go, stuff it, doesn't matter, and just eat whatever you want and just give up because it doesn't matter? Or do you, in the middle, accept that you're human, accept that you're going to make mistakes, forgive yourself, be kind to yourself, pick yourself up and keep going with kindness and compassion? I love that C, compassion, very important.
I love that C too, Maz. I have a caveat on the C, because the caveat is honesty with yourself as well. Because sometimes what happens is people perhaps aren't on their plan at all, and then they say, oh, it's fine, it's okay because I'm being kind and compassionate to myself. And so it's like a hall pass to do whatever you want. Compassion is not that, because that's not compassionate. That's just a bit of denial chucked in there. Compassionate is when you make a choice that perhaps wasn't aligned with what you wanted to do. And you use our word that we were talking about at the start, reflect. I think compassion involves reflection so that you can choose to make a different choice next time if that's what you want to do. So compassion does require some really internal honesty, but most definitely we know you cannot change by berating yourself. That is not a recipe. It's not a tool that is at all useful. And there's a lot of studies on this sort of stuff, and none of them say the best way to change is to tell yourself you're a dick and That just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Do not tell yourself you're hopeless. Do not tell yourself you're pathetic, lazy, useless, can't do anything, never achieve a thing. That just does not work.
Yes. And by the same token, you don't want to also just let yourself do whatever it is that your emotional brain wants to just eat whatever you want. Let yourself do anything. That's not it either. It's a nice middle path between numb denial and self-beration. You can walk this lovely middle path of self-compassion to get to where you need to go.
Wonderful. All right, Maz, I think that's probably enough of us blabbing on. We would love any of our listeners, people know, well, how can we get more? You can obviously watch us on our YouTube or Facebook. We have our beautiful membership momentum, and January this month is literally about clarity and getting really set up well for 2021, because honestly, 2020 was going to be the year, and for some people it has. They've made incredible changes throughout the year, but if you want more, 2021, it's the year of the you.
We love our membership. We have just the most wonderful group of women in our group that we provide regular coaching for. And yes, this January, it's going to be all about reflection and intention. So if you want to learn more, check out our website at rlmedicine.com.
See you, Dales. Bye.
Bye.
So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening.